20% is better than 0%. 5% is better than 0%. 1% is better than 0%. Quitting is where you cut yourself off. To me, that is accountability with grace. And that is how the 2-day rule came about. So here's how the rule works. Hey, what's up? It's Michelle. Welcome back to Chats with Michelle. Have you ever started super strong with a new habit and then completely fell off after just missing one day? If that is you, then this 2-day rule could completely change everything for you. It quite literally might just change your life. Many people operate from perfectionism and not progress. Many people being me, I have definitely dealt with this, struggled with this for many years. And then one mistake turns into, I've already ruined it. And then there's this spiral of you miss one day, you feel bad, and then weeks go by and you completely forget about it. You know, the all or nothing way of thinking can kill more dreams than failure even does. And maybe you can relate to this. This can possibly be you wanting to spend time with the Lord in the morning, maybe your workout schedule, you want to eat healthy, pretty much anything that you're trying to build a new habit on, and you, for whatever reason, quite just can't get the gist of it. And quite frankly, this is something that I can even relate to. I had this bad habit of thinking that one mistake or one thing not going right, like perfect, meant that it was complete failure, which in reality is completely untrue. So I needed a new rule, something that would be simple, but it would still give me grace and hold me accountable. And that is how the 2-day rule came about. So here's how the rule works. Basically, you can miss one day, but you cannot miss 2 days in a row. Let me explain. This gives you permission to be human, because life happens. You get sick, you might have to travel, or you might literally just be having a rough day. Trust me, I've been there. But one day does not completely ruin your progress. This rule helps prevent the downward spiral. Missing 2 days in a row can slowly make a habit become optional, because what happens is you miss 2 days, then you miss 3, then you miss a week, and then all of a sudden the habit becomes this thing that you used to do. Like, yeah, I used to do that once upon a time, but then I stopped somewhere along the line. And what I love about this rule is that it's super simple. You don't need any tracking sheet. It's pretty much just asking yourself this question. Did I do it yesterday? No. Okay, well then I must do it today. This quite literally happened to me this week where I was just like, okay, Michelle, you didn't do it yesterday, which you said that you're going to do. We talk a lot about keeping your promises here. You didn't keep your promise to yourself yesterday. Ma'am, okay, well, let's not do it 2 days in a row. So let's make time to do the thing. Very simple. So how do we do this practically, right? Let's talk about practicality. Well, you want to choose what your non-negotiables are going to be and make sure that the things that you're choosing is not everything. That's where it becomes overwhelming and then you just don't do it anyways. I would say pick possibly 2 to 3 things that's going to help you move the needle on your God-given assignment. What the Lord has told you to do, what your purpose is, your goal, the thing that you are trying to achieve. What are 2 to 3 things? Or is it 5 things? I don't know, but just don't make it a whole bunch of things that that you cannot keep up with. So whether that is, waking up early in the morning to spend quiet time, whether that's going for a walk, exercising, eating healthy, whatever that thing is, whatever those things are, pick just a few, just a couple. Like I said, I would say 2 to 3 and decide that these are non-negotiables. I'm going to stick to it. Now, at step 2, you want to define what counts. And like I said, be realistic. So on your perfect day, if you are actually soaring and going after the thing that you want to do, let's just say that was you want to walk every single day. And on your perfect day, your walk would be 45 minutes, right? A 45-minute walk. But let's just say you skipped a day for whatever reason, you didn't walk on this day. Well, now on day 2, the ideal thing to do would be, okay, well, it's day 2. I'm not going to go another day without walking. So I'm going to get up and go my 45-minute walk. But let's just say for whatever reason, you're just like, I don't feel like it, because that happens. Like, that's real life. You're like, I don't feel like it. And oftentimes when we don't do something one day, it kind of like builds up and we're like, I don't feel like doing it the next day. That's where the minimum comes into place. And that's kind of how the 2-day rule works, where it's like, okay, I didn't do it yesterday, but your 2-day rule could be for yourself that I have a minimum that I'm going to walk at least 20 minutes, because the goal here is not perfectionism, but it's building momentum. So on your day 2, then you would say, okay, well, maybe I won't do the 45-minute walk, but I'm going to at least do a 20-minute walk. This way, you don't just completely fall behind on your progress and what you are wanting to do. And like I said, this can be used for absolutely anything, even if it's like drinking water. If you want to drink, I don't know, like 64 ounces of water every single day, but one day you only did, you didn't drink enough water. So maybe that minimum for your day 2 rule can be like, okay, well, I need to, at the very minimum, drink 32 ounces of water, whatever that is for you. But you have to know what that minimum is and realistic. But this is the hard part. That doesn't mean now the next day you only walk 20 minutes. If your progress or what it is that you need to do is 45 minutes a day, or that's what you've told yourself you're going to do, well, then on day 3, 4, etc., then you want to make sure you get back to that 45 minutes a day, because you want to build that momentum in yourself. However, it's at least making sure that you don't just become completely stagnant and just stop. And what happens is you learn to trust yourself. It removes guilt, because missing a day doesn't necessarily mean failing. So you just change the way that you think, right? Your mindset is shifting. And also it kind of removes the weight of being like, oh, I have to be perfect for 365 days, every single day of the year. I have to be, being productive, the whole thing. No, you're simply saying to yourself, I just need not to miss 2 days in a row. So you break it down to like layman's terms. So this is the part where I answer some of your burning questions that I feel like you have. You're trying to find like the loopholes or whatever. So I feel like it's important for me to answer these questions, because even myself, right? Like I thought about these different things. So I'm like, let's go ahead and answer them. So, Michelle, what if I miss 2 days? Does that mean I quit then? Right? You're saying it's just 2 days. So what if I miss 2 days? No, you do not quit if you miss 2 days. What you should do is give yourself grace, forgive yourself. Don't get so upset and worked up. Just forgive yourself and say, okay, I missed 2 days, but now I'm going to start today. This happened to me recently as well, actually, where I did miss 2 days, but literally on the 3rd day, I was like, yeah, no, like I need to start again today, because having 2 bad days isn't the end of the world, right? But quitting is where you cut yourself off, right? That's it. You quit and you stop. So don't let 2 days go by and be like, oh, 2 days went by, it's over. No, it's not over. Get up and start again. And I actually want to do like an indented, bulletin right there, where I want to talk about how if the 2 days need to be consecutive, right? So it can work how you need it to work for yourself, for example. So if you're a person who, let's just say every Wednesday, there's like, I don't know, you work on your project that you have going on every single Wednesday. So maybe that's your 2 days, right? Where it's like, okay, well, if you did it this Wednesday and then you, for whatever reason, skip next Wednesday, well, then the following Wednesday, you didn't make sure that you get back onto it. Does that make sense? Because maybe for everyone, it's nuanced, right? Because maybe for everyone, you don't do a thing every single day. But for some of us, maybe that is the case. So you make the 2 days work for your schedule. So another question may be, well, isn't this just an excuse for you to skip days and not do what you got to do? Well, to that, I will say no. Actually, no, it is not. Because in the past, what would happen before is that I would skip a day, and then what would happen is I'd find myself skipping weeks. So now the maximum is just allowing myself the grace to skip one day before getting back on track. To me, that is accountability with grace. And lastly, a question might be, what if I legitimately have a reason why I cannot do what I'm supposed to be doing? So I skip, more than 2 days, etc. Like you're sick, you have an emergency, like I said, life happens. Well, then that means that life is happening. And as soon as life gives you a moment, then you get back onto it. And also, like I mentioned up earlier, is that you might want to do things in moderation then, right? So, because anything is better than 0%. So, if life is actually happening, like you're sick, you literally cannot get out of bed, well, ma'am, sir, like rest, right? Rest. Like, do not kill yourself. However, we know ourselves and we know our body and we know when we're being lazy, right? So if you can make effort, then I would say make effort. Like I said, maybe there's a minimum because 20% is better than 0%. 5% is better than 0%. 1% is better than 0%. So if you do have a legitimate emergency and you quite literally can't, then get better. And as you're getting better, do what you can. The whole idea behind the 2-day rule is to show up in some way. And with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. If you found this chat valuable, please consider sharing it with someone who may also find this chat valuable. And just as a reminder, Chats with Michelle is on both podcasts platform, both Apple and Spotify. You can go ahead and find that in the description box below. And while you're down there, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because listen, we've got so much to chat about. Bye.